Good morning, my dear students. Welcome back to English time. Hope you are doing well. So, where do we stop our class in the previous class? Yes. You know, Martha asked that amount, $15, from her grandfather. And grandfather was not ready to give that amount by saying a scholarship jacket does not mean by winning paying money. When Martha explained what is scholarship jacket, she explained it in the same way that scholarship jacket doesn't mean for money. So Martha couldn't say anything against the grandfather. She compelled to accept that opinion of whom? Yes, grandfather. So you know, the next day, of course, who will? Principal sir would call her and ask the decision. So we are going to resume the remaining part of the story. I walked back to the house and looked to myself in the bathroom for a long time. I walked back to the house and locked myself in the bathroom for a long time. You know, she wanted to, she desperately needed that word, scholarship jacket. But now all ways are closed. There is no chance for winning that scholarship jacket. Why? Because grandfather is not ready to pay that $15. She wanted to cry. And she doesn't want to see or show her sadness or her worry for whom in front of her grandmother. So she directly went to bathroom and locked the door, and she spent a long time inside the bathroom. Means yes, she cried. I was angry with grandfather even though I knew he was right, and I was angry with the board, whoever they were. Then what? By standing inside that bathroom, she thought about whom? A grandfather, and she was angry with whom? She was angry with the grandfather. Why? He refused to pay that $15. That's why he was angry with the grandfather. But you know, even though he was right, Martha knew. She's a bright student, you know, because that's why she is straight A from first standard to 8th standard. So she is what? Above average student. She can understand the reason. So she understood her grandfather was right, but she was angry with her grandfather, and also she was angry with the board, whoever they were. They were very prominent people or personalities in that village, but she didn't care that. She was angry. Why did they have to change the rules just to when it was my turn win the jacket? That was her question. She was angry with the board. Why was Martha angry with the board? This was the reason. Why did they have to change the rules just when it was her turn to win the jacket? That was the question. Those were the days of belief and innocence and childhood. Those days were what? The days of what? Belief in the God and innocence. Yes, small children, they will be innocent. It was a very sad and withdrawn girl who dragged into the principal's office the next day. It was a very sad and withdrawn girl. Withdrawn girl means what? Disappointed girl, we can say. She was very sad, disappointed, and such a girl was dragged. Dragged means what? Yes, compelled here you can say. Compelled into the principal's office. This time he did not look. This time he did look me in the eyes. This time he looked in the eyes of whom? Yes, Martha. What did your grandfather say? And he asked. What did your grandfather say? I sat very straight in my chair. I sat very straight. You know, when we sit in front of a principal or a teacher or a person whom we respect, we will not sit straight in the chair. We will act like sitting. That is what. But here, nothing was there to lose for whom? That girl. Everything is lost. We show that much respect to get that what respect from other person. So here he doesn't want to get respect from that principal. Why? Because he played a dirty play. That's why. So she sat very straight in her chair. He said, to tell you, he won't pay the $15. She was not nervous. She was very strong, very confident. And she said, well, no. He said to tell you, he won't pay the $15. He said it right, directly to whom? Principal. My grandfather said he would not pay that amount. The principal muttered something I couldn't understand under his breath and walked over to the window. Then he whispered something, muttered something. Couldn't understand whom. Martha couldn't understand what was he saying. And he walked over to the window. He stood looking at something outside. Then he stood outside. He looked at outside and stood there watching something. Then I was looking, and who is? Yes, Martha is sitting on her chair. He looked bigger than usual when he stood up. He looked bigger than usual when he stood up. He was a tall, gaunt. Gaunt means what? Extremely thin and bony. Not a fat person. Opposite of fat. He was extremely thin, but was very tall, with grey hair. And I watched the back of his head while I waited for him to speak. And she observed her back, and she was observing, and he looked at outside, and then what? That girl, she explained. She said her answer. Why? He finally asked. She said her grandfather was not ready to pay that $15. Then what? That principal should ask why. He cannot say, okay, then you may go. I will not give you that scholarship jacket. I will give it to someone else. Like that, can he say? No, he cannot say, because he is sitting in a responsible seat. So he should ask the reason. Simply also he has to ask. So what? Actually, principals doesn't want to ask that what, doesn't want to ask that reason. But as a principal, he has to ask it. So he at last he waited. He went to that window and looked outside for some time, and then he turned back and asked, "Why? Why did your grandfather say so?" He finally asked, "Your grandfather has the money. He owns a 200-acre ranch." Then, principals are wanted to make Martha that it was a fault of Martha and her grandfather not to pay that amount. They do not pay that amount. That's why principals cannot say give. Actually, he wants to give it like that, a picture who wanted to create. Yes, principal. So that's why he is saying, "What now? Hey, your grandfather has money. He is a very rich man, and he owns a 200-acre ranch. Ranch means a large farm where cows or sheep are bred. A large farm. Your grandfather owns a got a large farm. He is cultivating that beans in that place, in that field. So he is rich. Why can't he pay just $15? I looked at him, forcing my eyes to stay dry. I looked at him. So Martha understood it very clearly. It was just a question from principal. So she looked at him and she forced her eyes to stay dry. She wanted to cry. Actually, tear was coming to go out. In her eyes, what was there? Tears were there, but she tried her best to force her eyes to stay dry. If she cries, she will lose her all confidence and strength. I know, sir, but he said, if I had to pay for it, then it wouldn't be a scholarship jacket. Then what? Then that girl, 8th standard girl, she said, but no? Yes, sir, I know. My grandfather is rich. Actually, he is not rich, but she knows it very well. And the principals are also knows it very well that they are very poor. But that girl, with confidence, she said, but no? Yes, sir, I know. My grandfather is a rich man. Not a rich man. He can pay that. Not very rich. He can pay that $15. But he said, if I had to pay for it, then it wouldn't be a scholarship jacket. Here she said a very important point. We have the money and we are ready to pay. But here, if we pay $15 for that scholarship jacket, means what? It is not right. You don't deserve that amount. It is a false play. It's a foul play. So we reject this scholarship jacket by very strongly by saying that it is injustice. Such a tone was there. It is injustice to ask money for a scholarship jacket means. If a student winning any trophy, any competition, and if we if they want to pay money for school means what? It is injustice. It is against law. By saying that, yes, Martha said, yes, we are able to, we can afford that money, or we can pay that money, but we don't. Why? Because it is injustice. It is not right. By saying it, I stood to leave. She stood to leave. Okay, sir. No, we don't want that scholarship jacket. It is not right. I guess you will just have to give it to Jonah. I hadn't meant to say that. It had just slipped out. By saying that, but we are not ready to pay. We can pay, but we won't pay. Why? Because asking money for a scholarship jacket is not right. And also, she before leaving that office room, she added one more sentence. What now? I guess you will just have to give it to Jonah. I know you want to give that that scholarship jacket to Jonah. She is waiting. Her father is there in the board, and they paid money, and we know everything. So what? You just want to avoid me and give this scholarship jacket to that girl. That is a play. That is a plot behind it. Okay, I know it. Everything. Okay, so whoever maybe you can give it. I don't want. By saying who Martha was leaving that decided to leave that room. And she hadn't meant to say that. Actually, Martha hadn't meant to say so. It had just slipped out. Unknowingly, such a dialogue came out from her mouth. She delivered such a dialogue without any pre-planning. I was almost to the door when he stopped me. She was almost to the door when who stopped? Principals have stopped her. Martha, wait. Then principal sir, actually Martha thought it was the end. It was the end of that discussion, that hope. Why? Because she said she was not ready to pay, and it was acceptable for whom? That principal also. So that was the end of that chapter. That like who thought? Martha thought. But at that time, principal sir once again called her. Martha, wait there. I turned and looked at him, waiting, and she turned and she waited. Why? Because now she has nothing to say, but principal sir has something to say. She waited. What did he want now? What did he want now? I told you, he is sitting in a responsible seat. He cannot just avoid anyone by saying such lame excuses. Then that's why it is a shame to that school. If this grandfather say this to all people in that village, that will be a shame to that school. This management and teachers together played a trick and avoided a poor girl winning from that what scholarship jacket means. What it is a shame to that school. So principal sir got that or understood that problem. What did he want now? Then principal sir asked, what did your grandfather want now? I could feel my heart pounding loudly in my chest. I could feel my heart pounding. Pounding means what? Yes, it beating loudly in my chest. Something bitter and wild taste was coming up in my mouth. Something bitter. Bitter means bitter gourd, bad. And wild means what? Unpleasant, not a good thing. Was coming up in my mouth. Something what? Bad, because she was in such an angry mood. Something bad was coming from her mouth, and she cannot say it to the principal sir. He is a respected person. I was afraid I was going to be sick. She was afraid that she was going to be sick. She thought something was going to happen to her. Why? Because she couldn't control. Because getting angry and saying whatever comes in her mind is not possible to that principal. That person is not same aged boy or girl to whom that Martha. So she cannot say like that. So I didn't need any sympathy speeches. He sighed loudly and went back to his big desk. Then what? I didn't need any sympathy speeches. So Martha actually didn't want any sympathy speeches. Now who principal said, sir may say, but oh God, very bad. You cannot pay. It is not right. You can pay it. You can take it, like that he can say. So he sighed loudly and went back to his big desk. Then from window he went to his desk and sat there. He watched me biting his lip. Okay, we will make an exception in your case. I will tell the board you will get your jacket. Then what? He watched me biting his lip. Okay, we will make an exception in your case. I will tell the board and you will get your jacket. Then what? Then who? I told you, principal sir changed his mind. Why? Why? Because about the small girl, 8th grade girl said that who was principal sir was plotting against this girl for avoiding her from winning that scholarship jacket. Even she knew it. That's why she said, but I know you are avoiding me for giving this scholarship jacket to another girl, and I know she is from such a rich family. Everything I know. So what? And my grandfather also, they know it very well. So what? So you can give that scholarship jacket to whoever you want. It is none of our business. Like that, who said? Martha said, and she was leaving that room, and it was it was a shame to that whom? Yes, principal. Yes, that's why what? That's why suddenly principal sir couldn't what leave or allow that girl to go away. Why? Because it is not correct. Principal sir thought that without knowing this grandfather and this Martha, he was simply avoiding that girl by telling her to pay $15. But he understood. This girl, Martha, understood that reason behind that, fixation of that amount for that scholarship jacket. So how can he say it is not say that I will not give you and you should pay that amount? Can he say? No. Everybody will come to know about that word. Everybody will come to know about this foul play from whom? From this grandfather and Martha. So it will be a shame. It will be a shame to that part, that school in that whole village. Sometimes what even media or other department, school department, all will be asked about this in future. So what as a principal sir, he cannot order it for that. He knew that. That's why what he changed his mind. Okay, this year I am going to make a change. Only why did he say so? Only because principal sir understood who Martha knew that foul play, the reason for that foul play, and it would be a dangerous. It would be a dangerous or a big problem to that running of that school in the future. That's why he changed that decision. Okay, so here we can stop. You understood that portion? So you can write, why did the principal change his mind? That answer you can write down. Okay, and also you can find out the tough words and write down that meanings, and also side question answers. Okay, thank you.